Wow, what an entrance. So welcome so much to the Purple Ivy Brown Bag. We are so excited to have the next Lunch and Learn session together with you today. I am Christina Amann. I'm the Sustainability Strategist and Advisor at Management Consultancy Purple Ivy. And Purple Ivy works to future-proof by integrating sustainability deeper into your business models. So for today's session, we are delighted to welcome you all to the next 30 minutes on today's focus. And let me get this right. Today's focus, so I know what studio room I'm in, is our students setting out what sustainability skills that companies need. And we will do this together with Sustainergies. And we have together today CEO Simon Werbart Flato and Recruitment Manager Julia Labbart. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here.
So I'm going to turn and get you up on stage straight away. And Simon, I was hoping that if you could take a moment and introduce yourself. And then Julia, I will also kind of push you up on stage as well to have a short introduction.
Thank you. So happy to be here and talk about these topics that are, of course, very close to us at Sustainergies. So I'm the managing director. I was also the founder of Sustainergies way back in time when I was still a student. I did my bachelor's in business, and then I did a master's degree in sustainable enterprising at Stockholm Resilience Center. And at that time, I started creating Sustainergies. So that's where I've come from.
Thank you so much. And Julia, a short introduction, please, as well.
I'm also very, very excited to be here. So thank you for inviting me. My name is Julia Labbart, and I am Recruitment Manager at Sustainergies. I have a bachelor's degree in behavioral science and psychology. And then I have worked with recruitment for about 3 years, and I have now specialized within sustainability recruitment. So it's a very a topic that is very close to my heart. So I'm happy to be here today.
Well, welcome to you both. We're very excited to have you here for this session. I will ask my first question over to you, Simon. What is Sustainergies, and what is it you saw when you decided, I believe you said 13 years ago, you saw an opportunity. Yeah, sometimes we shouldn't talk about age, but here we are. Let me repeat my question now because I got sidetracked. So what did you see 13 years ago when you built Sustainergies, and what exactly was the focus?
Exactly. So I think it all started somehow with me being confused about my future. And of course, I wasn't alone. A lot of students were confused. But I wanted to find some way of getting a meaningful career. And just like me, many other students started to build an interest in environmental issues and sustainability. But sustainability as a term wasn't really that trendy yet.
Yeah.
But what I saw was that there was a huge gap between my idea of an impactful career and the possibilities and the role models, like which jobs could I actually look for, what kind of education could I get. So there was no career path within sustainability. And that's basically what we wanted to build, some way of preparing for a sustainability career. The only thing that was clear at the time was that a lot more people would need to work with sustainability. I think we saw that early on. And today we're still talking about the need to use the best competence on the planet for the best of the planet. That's what we're saying in Sustainergies today.
Can you repeat that again? Because that's a lovely, lovely sentence.
Yeah. The best competence on the planet needs to work for the best of the planet.
Thank you. Yeah.
And that's what we're striving for. And what we built was basically a career platform or a talent factory to be able to open doors for more students to experience sustainability work in practice. Because the education was lacking, We didn't find any career path. So our solution was, okay, let's try just getting out there, doing internships, doing jobs, having workshops, and putting sustainability to practice and learning in that way.
So in this journey that you've taken, so what would you say, when you started off, what was the landscape then and the interactions then, and what do you see today that is different?
The landscape then, I think, professionally, there were environmental managers. They were my role models, my idols.
Yeah.
Were the environmental managers. They had a small sector building up. They had some conferences and other things that I got access to, and that's how I got inspired to work more within the field. But it was even difficult to talking about what issues we wanted to work on. I mean, sustainability wasn't set as a term yet. The global goals weren't there, and there was a lot of uncertainty about how to work with the issues. I think today most students are highly aware of sustainability issues, and most of them also identify with wanting to work for a good cause. Before, we were talking to like a small niche group. Now we can talk to students at general, big scale, and it's totally different, really. But on another hand, then, things haven't changed fast enough. I mean, we still have climate change looming over us, biodiversity loss continues, human rights and inequalities still remain. So there's a lot more work that needs to be done, and the sustainability sector is still growing and professionalizing. I think today we see a lot of new roles coming up, both specialists and for generalists and leadership positions within sustainability. And now there are a lot more external drivers as well, pushing companies and organizations to work systematically with sustainability and sustainability reporting. There are regulations and so on, forcing companies to do more work. And that also creates more jobs and more need for hands and feet to work on sustainability issues. But I think our position, we have kind of pivoted from inspiring more young people that it's possible to have a sustainability career into actually making it happen, still opening doors, but today using recruitment and matching more and more to open doors into a sustainability career, which isn't always easy.
And you've done a wonderful segue for me to move over to Julia with my next question, Julia. With this recruitment process and matching, could you explain a little bit the process they follow with you, and why, or if there's any difference because sustainability is involved?
Good question. So what usually happens is that a partner of ours or someone new that has heard about us contact us with a specific need, usually. And then we set up a meeting with them to listen and to discuss and coach the best possible solution for them. And then we set up strict requirements for the position, create an advert, we post it, we spread it on our social media and our channels, and then we do the whole process with the selection and the interviews. We help our partner book their interviews, and we also offer recruitment tests at the end of the process if they wish to use those. And we do that for all our processes. And I think, because I have also worked with recruitment that has not been connected to sustainability, mostly at with my previous employer. And I think the biggest difference is the value drive. So working with sustainability recruitment is more value driven in a sense, because it's very important that you share the same goals, the same visions as the company. So that's usually something that we talk about in the adverts and also in our interviews, because that's a big motivation in order to be able to do work within sustainability that is sometimes a bit difficult. It can also require to create engagement in other people. So it's quite important that you have that strong values inside of you as well.
I think that's such an important point, and I'm just going to say to the audience, if you want to ask any of your questions to our wonderful speakers, do type it in the comment section, and we'll try to convey it through these wonderful students straight to the speakers. I just wanted to add this point of values and purpose, because I think sometimes people think sustainability is a list of checklists. Check, 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 check. But it's also more than that. It's really about lifting up that values, that purpose, and creating those connections on it. So if I could ask you, Julia, what is it you what is it that you match on that? So what is it the requirements you're seeing in students, and what is it the gaps are compared to what the companies are asking for?
Yeah, so what we match, we apply a competency-based method, and that is used in order for us to be able to decrease any bias that might occur in the recruitment process. So for example, we blind all the applications with numbers and such. So I think that's really important to emphasize as well. So it's really important to set the requirements beforehand and to be able to follow them through the whole process and not make changes or anything like that. But when we set the requirements, we use both competencies as in experience or field of study, for example, as well as personality traits. And that can be anything that the company finds important, really, but being inspirational or having leadership skills, for example. And those traits is something that we follow up in our interview, and we ask competency-based questions on those personality traits. So that's something that we do in order to cover the value set of the wished values. And that's also important to not only to attract talent, but to be able to retain people within the company. So once they start, they actually like the company culture and they have the same ambitions and goals. So it's all about the retaining of talent as well.
So this question is actually the title of this session. I'm going to ask you both. So I'll start with Simon again. And the question of this session, are students setting out with sustainability skills that companies need? What do you say to that, Simon?
There's a yes and no, but I would lean on no. On one hand, you have the hard skills. So it's difficult to be up to date with all the requirements from reporting and regulations. They are changing fast, and our educational system is not in time with that. So it's difficult to get experience from where the sustainability frameworks you will use professionally. And on the other hand, we also have the other side of getting a sustainability career is that you do a lot of change management. In any sustainability career, you will be a change maker. And that requires personal skills as well, leadership skills. We have summarized, we have 5 points for future sustainability leader that we use. I can just mention them briefly.
Yes, please, yes.
So the 5 skills that we've condensed it to: global and systemic mindset, extreme collaboration skills, curiosity and critical thinking, courage, and grit. And I wouldn't say that the university would cover all of these areas. Some of them definitely. Global and systemic mindset educations are doing quite well today, but the rest of them are difficult to learn just with academic studies.
It's so interesting that you say that, because we had a conversation last week, didn't we? And one of the things I said, that even in my role, I've got this lovely role that I said early on, sustainability strategist and advisor, but sometimes the role is more than actually the topic at hand. It's all the other skills, from relationship management to creating connections to actually understanding how, for example, a business works, etc. So those are the ones very much captured in your 5 points. So Julia, I'll ask the same questions. In your role, as you've seen, are students setting out with sustainability skills that companies need?
I agree with Simon on all the points, really. So I think there are certain skills that you can learn within an academic degree. But I think we also have a very important purpose in getting people to work while they're studying. We have student consultant positions, for example. So that's a very strong recommendation from me to actually use the time during your studies, both to gain academic degrees and knowledge, but also some practical experience, such as change leadership, and maybe get an idea of the obstacles that you might meet once you graduate and you want to work with these questions. That's also important, and how to handle that in a smooth way, because it's really important that we get everyone on board, even if we disagree on certain topics and such. We need everyone to contribute to this. So I think they are set with good academic skills, but there might be use in adding some practical ones as well.
And on that practicality, I think one of the questions we got actually from one of our younger consultants, Nicole, who's also a student and trying to, and Nicole Skoglund, she's part of our team, and she is absolutely amazing and trying to get the sustainability skills at the same time as doing and finalizing her studies. How do you see students, and how would you advise them on balancing these studies and still trying to raise that level of skills while they're trying to finish off mega thesis or exams and etc.? Julia, you can start.
Yeah.
You might have two different tips.
Yeah, I think that's a very good question, and it's an important one. Health is one of my hard questions. So I always make sure, like when I recruit a sustainability consultant, I always ask them what other responsibilities they have going on right now, if they really have time to pursue this assignment, because we do not want anyone to be overworked before they have graduated, because that would be a very big failure. So I think
well-being is like one of the biggest topics, especially coming out of the last 2 years of COVID. Yeah,
definitely. And it's also very connected to sustainability as well. If you have to have a sustainability work life and study life. So I think finding your good enough is usually my best advice. Maybe you don't have to have perfect academic scores or perfect grades. It might be more important to have some work experience as well. And you don't have to be the ace at your workplace either. You can still be there, contribute, do your best, and don't be so hard on yourself. Maybe it's very easy to say. And I would also say make some time for gaining your energy back, whatever that can be, being in nature, working out, hanging out with your friends. So make sure that you don't quit too many of those things in order to fit work life or academic life.
And it's such an important topic. We start with those points by being good enough and taking care of your health, because I think one of the roles that you see in sustainability professionals is that area of actually being so committed to the cause that you actually burn yourself out along the way. But so Julia, doing what was it? The sentence you said, that the good enough. Can you repeat that again?
Enough. Yeah, yes. Just find your good enough, and you don't have to be the best at everything all the time.
No. So Julia, find your good enough. And Simon, what are you saying to that?
Yeah, I think we mentioned that this is a value-driven field as well. So I think it's really important to focus on, with strong value, risk of working too hard. I think finding, adapting your expectations to your situation. Some people study very long days and don't have much time for scheduled extracurricular work. Then maybe joining workshops, listening into talks like this, networking is a better way of working. And other studies have, more free time, basically, and you can take on other work as well. So we find that we work with students in two ways. Either it's within their studies, and then it's usually an internship or a thesis project. And when we call it an internship, it's always included in the studies. And then on the other hand, there are student consulting positions that you get paid for working extra. And that depends on your availability, of course. But don't feel that you have to have like a work experience. Use every networking opportunity, listening into talks, following topics, pods, whatever. Learn about the topics that inspire you the most.
I think those are such great points. And we have some questions that are rolling in here. So let me just grab one here. So this is very specific. Are banks and other financial actors starting to recruit sustainability professionals? And do they need another kind of profile? So I'm going to show that on the screen as well, so we can really dive into it. Who wants to take the question? Raise your hand.
I can take it. I used to work with sustainability, recruiting for finance positions. And now I recruit for sustainability positions. And I find that lately I have received a lot of requests that combine these two in a cross-functional way. So I would say yes, definitely. The finance sector is one of the sectors that has gotten larger requirements now for actually working with these issues, which always means that they will have to recruit sustainability professionals and sustainability talents. So definitely, sustainability and finance is a very common combination of skill sets.
And if I can go to deep dive on the practicality, what would you have to have in your backpack to go straight into it? So if you're studying, what would you need to have additionally to get that firm foot into the door? Okay, someone else raise their hand. This is a very exciting Simon answer.
I just wanted to mention that I think a lot of what the bank and finance sector are doing or are forced to do today is follow up on data. So having a firm grip of how to handle data, big data, how to structure data, and what sustainability data actually is. So the ESG area, any way of learning about ESG and the data side of it, how to follow up on it, that will be very, very useful going into the bank and finance sector today. There's a huge need, and they're analyzing data in crazy amounts right now.
That's such a great and helpful and to the point tip. So moving on to the next question, we'll see whose hand goes up first. So here is Sustainergies. Okay, this is a very international question. Is Sustainergies available for sustainability graduates that do not yet speak Swedish, but would like to work in Sweden? Julia.
We have had a few cases where that has been possible. We always try to coach and push our partners to open up for that. Sometimes that can be hard because it has to do with being able to read Swedish legal documents, for example, or such. But we always try, and that is something that we would like to do way more of. So definitely have a look and keep an eye on our website and social media if you're interested.
And pre-pandemic, we had a large-scale English project with workshops and skill sessions. But we are still figuring out what our next large-scale event project will be. So keep a lookout in the future.
We have so many, and I know maybe sidetrack in recruitment, how different platforms are just opening up. The hybrid model has really just gone quite big in recruitment as well. So it's not about where you're located, but also recruitment in time zones. So this might be something as well for sustainability students and professionals in the very near future. So one last question here, and it goes back to what we were talking about this session, is what are competencies that companies need the most right now and that they lack of? So I'll post that up again. What are the competencies that companies need the most right now and that there are a lack of?
It's a very good question. I think a number of things. I think obviously all these new legal requirements, the taxonomy, for example, and there are certain things within that not many people have worked with yet because it's very new. So that's probably one of them, where companies come to us and they don't really know how to do it. They just need someone to help them on the how to as well as the operational work. That's one thing. Do you have any other ideas, Simon?
I already mentioned data, but you're also on point with like mapping out the regulations and the frameworks that you need to relate to.
Yeah, and I also think the
No,
the behavioral change part as well, the leadership. So leading change, because change is very uncomfortable for all people. So those leadership skills is very needed as well.
I think that's so to the point. Change is so uncomfortable, whatever part of stage you are in life or in an organization. And knowing how to take people on a journey is a fantastic skill to have. I have a question here, which is actually two questions in one. Maybe one can take each side of it. So the question I have is what questions do you get from students and what questions do you get from companies? So who wants to take the student part and who wants to take the company part?
I'm just trying to think of the angle. So questions regarding the goals or the work, the skill sets. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I had a discussion with a student recently, so I can start in that area. Like many students are afraid that their specific educational background locks them into only being able to work with those issues. But as we've mentioned several times today, sustainability needs to be cross-functional, and it's difficult to see what educational prepares you the best. So I think we've gotten a lot of questions about, can I only do this, or do you need to be a business student to be able to work with a business? And I think that they don't really appreciate the skills that they're building on how to analyze situations, how to handle data, how to do a lot of other skills that they can use regardless of specific context. So a lot of engineering students would be excellent at a manager position within business, even though it's not their specific educational background.
That's great, and thank you so much for sharing that conversation and anecdote. Before we wrap up here, I did have a question. I'd love to hear from both of you your favorite, in addition to what you just shared, Simon, your favorite conversation or your favorite interaction that you've had with regards to students and matching. Is there one?
That's a good one. I just have to think for a moment. I think I'm always, I just thought of one. I was working not too long ago with a company that we actually, where we were actually able to use international talent as well, and people that had recently moved to Sweden or were maybe international students studying in Sweden. And I just spoke to those candidates that I finally signed for the student consultant positions, and they were both so happy. And they were a bit unsure because that was their first working experience in Sweden. And they have had a very good experience of our recruitment process. And that was very nice to hear, and being able to get that feedback. So that's something that I just thought of now.
Thank you so much. Simon?
Yeah, one of my favorite processes was when we were recruiting for Coop, the food chain. They had big plans on gathering a lot of sustainability data to create sustainability declarations for all their products. And we started talking very early on in the project that they saw that we're going to need a lot of data being handled to be able to do this. And we started out with recruiting one student with a background in both statistics and sustainability. And he did an amazing job. He got to employ 3 more students, so they were a big team. And they ran through 14,000 products, gathered data, and created the whole new tool. He even employed AI and smart models to manage the data. And then he got a full-time position with them as well. that's really a success story. From them having an idea and they needed people to staff it, we were able to use students, and it transitioned into a full-time sustainability career as well.
That's amazing. It's lovely to hear those stories as well, because it just shows that it really truly happens. Last question as we wrap up is that what would be your last words to students when it comes to skill set? What would be your one big advice? Anything you want to repeat again that we've talked about, or one additional comment that you haven't been asked to talk about? Please shoot away with one last advice out to the audience.
I would
Julia?
just say, I would just say practice change leadership, and maybe try to gain some insight in psychology as well. So sustainability psychology, because I think that's really important and a very good skill to have. And also don't be afraid to try it out. Even if you don't have all skill sets, go for it and try it.
That's excellent advice. I'd say because sustainability is still changing so fast, learn from others. Keep learning. You're never finished. Just keep learning and find inspiration from others, networking, and joining events like this.
And we have a number of questions that did come in. I will say to everyone that you'll take the time to answer them by writing. So we'll make sure that we get that done. I do want to say a big thank you to you both. It's been fantastic to have these 30 minutes with you. Thank you, Julia. Thank you, Simon.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been great.
Yeah, it's been so much fun. Really great. Thank you. And I do want everyone to keep your eyes open for our next brown bag, which is happening next week on the 20th, which is a continuation of this topic, but at a different level, where we'll be inviting Lisa Schultz from the Stockholm Resilience Center, where Simon was before, and we will take a long look at what CEOs need to know about sustainability these days. So this is going to be very exciting and a lovely, lovely connection to the conversation from students to CEOs for sure. So thank you again. And for those that have sent in their questions and we haven't had time to go through them, we will make sure to answer them in writing for sure. So thank you and have a lovely rest of day.
Thank you.
Thank you.